Everybody, how's everybody doing today? Welcome to my photography shopping live stream where we go online together and look for deals on photography accessories, gear, lenses, what have you. And I did find one or two things, and I ordered a couple of things from last week deals that came in. I was still waiting for one more that I'm pretty excited about. But as you get these little things here and there, you start to realize, oh, I need one more thing to make this complete. But I can wait. It can wait. I wait for it to go on sale, and then I'll buy the extra piece. And, you know, really, when you buy accessories and things, typically, especially budget type items that, I normally try to promote here, you don't need to buy them right away. These are just kind of nice to have things, tools to have in your toolbox over time. And there's always the core accessories. You always need batteries. You always need filters like polarizers and ND filters, and tripods and bags. These are the things I mostly concentrate on. Occasionally, a good deal will come up on a lens or a camera body, but straps. Things like this that I think are, uh, nice to have uh, and keep to make things easier and expand your photography potentially. So let me see. We'll just get right into the deals. Um, I see Paul's here. Good to see you, Paul. And if anyone else is here, let me know. And then once I kind of get through the shopping part and the deals that I found, if you guys are looking for anything, I can help you find a deal online as well. In disclosure, I am an affiliate for a lot of things I'll be showing today, like Amazon and eBay, B&H, maybe KNF, a lot of places that I'm affiliates with. So I'll earn a commission if you do use any of my affiliate links. I primarily focus on Amazon, but B&H does have very good deals time to time, and we can take a look at those, especially if we're talking about camera bodies and lenses. They're probably the most reliable source in terms of making sure you get the manufacturer warranty, because it can be a little bit. I mean, most of the time you're okay on Amazon, but you can run into problems sometimes. I'll give you an example. The When the Canon R5 Mark II came out, people pre-ordered it on Amazon, and they found out that it didn't come with the manufacturer warranty for whatever reason. And Canon, and you'll see in the comments that some people called Canon and confirmed it. So I'm not sure what's going on there, because that shouldn't be the case, because Amazon is an authorized dealer for Canon. But you have to be very, very careful sometimes on higher ticket items. So for camera gear, where like bodies and lenses, where the warranty is very important, I'll probably defer you to B&H for those types of items. With few exceptions, most of the OM system and Panasonic gear, I haven't seen any problems with. But I have seen a problem with the Canon, and I haven't heard anything about Nikon, but or Sony for that matter. Okay, let's see. Let me go to my screen here, and I see Jeff's here. Good to see you, and Gary from Delaware. Wow, I'm glad you could make it today. And Michael, good to see you. And ATR Bear, very good to see you as well. So, okay, so this link is on my, it's just amazon.com/shop.robtrek, but you can just do robtrek.com/deals, there's a link down below. And I'll add more links after the stream is over if we find some new deals. You can see I have a couple of things in my cart already that I'm still thinking about. Okay, so let's start off with these. This is a little tiny ball head. Well, before we get to that, let's look at a couple of things. I ordered this thing. It's going to come in today, and it's just a little mini tripod, 50% off. It's all metal. Okay, this might be aluminum, but it's all metal. And these little tabletop tripods are really handy. if you like to do macro photography. So I'm sort of getting into that, and I'm finding that having a very, very stable base for close-up photography is really useful, particularly with focus stacking, because I know you can do a lot of the focus stacking handheld, and I have done that with a lot of success. But there's been a lot of times where the subjects, like a flower, will be moving in the wind. So I'll set the camera on a tripod and hold the flower best I can and do the focus stacking that way. I've also got a tip from a viewer about using just a folding binder that you can open up and put around the flower to keep wind from blowing on it. And those are easy to carry around, so I'll be doing that more. So once I kind of get my macro workflow down, I'll do a video about that for macro photography and focus stacking using the OM system and the 60 millimeter macro with the diopter. So I doubt this will come in while I'm sitting here on the stream, but if it does, that'd be awesome. But I did order a different tripod. I ordered this one. This one I only paid $14 for because there's an additional 10% coupon, so it's like $14 with this 10% off, in addition to the 15.99. And this did come in. I have that here. So I'll talk a little bit about this. If I had paid full price for this, $30, I would return it. But I only paid $14 for it. So there's a couple things I'm not crazy about though after it came in. There's some things that I really was excited about, and those things came true, but one thing was not so great. So I'll talk about that. But it is working for me for what I wanted to use it for. I'd say 80%, 20%, the way you see it set up here. This is not perfect, and I'll talk about that. uh, it's workable, but it's a little awkward. But I do like it. I do like it for $14. I would say just get it, but maybe hold off until my other one comes in that I ordered. I think that's going to be a better solution for what I'm thinking about for macro work. I also recommended this tripod. I have something very similar to this already. So this you can get for about $30 with the 20% coupon here. This, if you don't have a tabletop tripod, I'm sorry, I have something similar to this. If you don't have uh, a tabletop tripod, I recommend you start with one of these because it's going to be much more stable. It's taller, so it's going to be more versatile. It also gets pretty low to the ground, uh, and it's relatively compact. But it's not the most compact, right? The other tripod, this one that I just showed you, is more compact for traveling with, and I can fit this in the side pocket very easily. Whereas the tripod we're looking at here, you'd have to put in the camera bag. Whereas this one I can put in the side pocket of the camera bag, and that's the key reason I went for one of these going forward. But this is not quite as versatile. The one that we're looking at here, we can use in the studio, for doing tabletop like product photography or still life, things like that. Live comp. This is going to be a much better solution than this one. And because of the versatility, the only compromise being is when you take it with you, you pretty much have to put it in the camera bag or on the bottom or the tripod. Some bags have tripod straps. It's not that big, right? But it is substantially thicker when you collapse it down. But I think that's a fair trade-off for the versatility that it has over the tripod I just bought. Okay, and then of course, the 60 macros on sale. If you don't have this lens, I've been doing Olympus since 2015, 2016. I waited 10 years to buy this lens, and I I totally regret that decision now. I should have bought this as one of my first lenses. Um, so I may do a video on this lens. I mean, there's so many videos on this lens already. I think the video I make will be more about the workflow of using this lens rather than about the lens itself. But yeah, if you don't have this lens, you need to buy this lens. This is almost a no-brainer. I can't think of anyone that's bought this lens that regretted it. Uh, yes, unless you don't do macro, but if you're like me, enthusiasts like to kind of do everything, right? This is a no-brainer for the hobbyist, right? That wants to get into macro photography. The other thing is that goes with that lens that I highly recommend is this diopter thing. It's basically it's similar to a very common brand, Raynox. The quality from this lens is excellent. Now, there are other diopter lenses that you can buy for $10, $20. They're crap. This one is very good. Snaps on very easily, and it gets you almost a 2x magnification with the 60 macro because the 60 macro natively is only a 1x lens, but this will get you closer to 2, not quite, but much closer. Typically, at typical working distances, you'll get about a 1.5x, but it makes a big difference, right? Going from 1x to 1.5. And you can, in theory, add extension tubes and uh, teleconverters, and you can get up to 3, 4, 5x. I don't want to get carried away with this. If you need to do that kind of close up work, I would recommend probably just getting a dedicated like 5x macro lens that's manual focus, because autofocus at 5x, magnification is unusable. It's just not going to happen. Okay. Um, but yeah, I have this monopod that converts to a mini tripod. So that's why I'm not buying the other one that's $30. Because I already have something that will do, that's very, very stable that I can use in the studio. If you don't have a monopod, I recommend this one because of the versatility of easily converting it from a monopod to a tabletop tripod. This one also comes with a quick release plate that really is very useful. Let's see if they have a dedicated photo. Yeah, this little quick release plate is awesome. Um, I've taken it off and used it on a different. Actually, no, it is on my. It's in my car, I think. But anyhow, this quick release plate is awesome. So I bought this back in October. I'm still using it and loving it. Um, so I paid $115, but even at 139, I think it's worth it. It doesn't go on sale very often, but I don't think you need to wait for the sale. 115 to 139, it may not go on sale for months, and you're going to lose your time using this. So I would recommend, if you've been thinking about a monopod, just buy this whenever you're ready. If you're not sure if you're going to ever use a monopod or not, then wait for a sale. But you're only going to save like $15. So monopods are very useful for wildlife photography, and I've added a gimbal to it. Let me show you the gimbal I added to it. This is the exact one that I bought. I bought this just a couple of months ago. This is great. This is a great little gimbal for when you're using heavy lenses with the monopod. It's the workflow is a little awkward at first, but once you get used to it, uh, you're gonna get you're gonna save a lot of strain, right? Because you don't have to hold the entire weight of the camera and lens combination. Even if it's just like I use the 300 millimeter f4, even that can get a little bit unwieldy after a couple hours. but this will allow you to just go out there comfortably and do birding because you're putting all the weight on the monopod and not on your neck, right? But I did find another one that's this one here. This is virtually identical. There's a very subtle difference in the design, but this is $36 and I don't see anything wrong with this. This looks every bit as good as the one that I bought. So I would say just get this one. If it sucks, okay, because I've ordered one that sucked, but it looked nothing like this. I ordered one, it didn't suck. It just wasn't the right accessory. But I would get this. If it's not good or it doesn't work out for you, Amazon has a very, very liberal return policy. You can just return it. It's no big deal. But if you want the exact one that I bought that I use and can say that is very good, you're going to pay $60. But I have no doubt that this one is equally as good. All right. And I'm going to get through a few more deals and then I'll go to the chat section. Okay, so because I got that mini tripod, it has its own ball head, but I have a few other mini tripods that don't have ball heads. So I'm thinking about getting this uh, so that I can set up additional mini tripods for my macro photography. Uh, because sometimes you need to attach sort of clamps and like these gooseneck type clips and things to hold things in place or move things out of the way to get a good clear shot of whatever your subject is. So flowers is typical, right? A lot of times there's leaves and other branches blocking the flower, and you can use mini tripods to kind of with these gooseneck clamps to kind of push things out of the way or hold the flower if it's a little bit windy, because sometimes using a binder you can't set it on the ground. Sometimes the flower's kind of in a position where there's nowhere to put the binder, and sometimes the wind is coming in a direction that you can't block it and take a picture at the same time. So using gooseneck type clamps and things together with a couple of mini tripods make a lot of sense. So I'm going to experiment with this, but this is a very good example of an accessory that you can wait till it's on sale. You don't need to buy it right away, right? Because you can do macro photography all day long without any of this stuff. But when you really get into it and you need a certain tool to do a certain job, just get it on sale. There's no hurry for these kind of things. So this is a good deal. And this looks like a decent tripod head. But here's an example of it attached to, I have a lot of these little mini tripods like this. And then what I would do is attach a gooseneck. They're called gooseneck wire holders, I think. Uh, uh, well, solder. Something like this, these things. Like this one has, you can get two 8-inch ones that hold, that have I believe this is a quarter 20 screw in the base. So if this has a quarter 20 screw in the base, then I can attach this directly to the mini tripod on the ground to hold the flower or whatever it is I'm trying to take a picture of. So you can get a couple of these, but these are only 8-inch, I think. So I'm shopping for some longer ones myself. Okay, so Mosisu here, they're a pretty good brand for camera bags, but it looks like they're rebranding some tripods also. It doesn't even look like they rebranded this one. It's just a generic. Uh, these things are all over the place, and they typically go on sale for. They sell for like between 35 and $60. So you have to wait for them to go on sale to something like this price point, closer to 35 than it is closer to 40 or 50. Uh, but this is a much better deal than other tripods at this price point because a lot of them have plastic ball heads or plastic video heads. Those are crap. And they got cheap aluminum legs. And this is the kind of tripod you buy and use for a couple of years and keep in the trunk of your car as a backup in case you forget to bring your good tripod. This will get the job done. This is not a high grade, high end tripod, obviously, but it is for the money decently well made. So I would get one of these. I have a couple of these myself, not this particular brand because this is generic. But when they get down to the like 35 price range, that's the time to get one of these kind of tripods. And I found a couple of them. I think there's another one down here. Like this one is this is the same thing, right? But it's $35. So I would get this one instead of the other one. But this one they actually branded with something. Um, but yeah, you can see they're identical, really. Just color coding and everything. There's some minor differences, but in terms of quality and durability, they're identical. Another key difference, the reason I listed this one is this has oh shit. Excuse me. This has the same flip locks on the legs. Some people like the flip locks, some people like the twist locks. I like the twist locks personally, but I do have a twist locked one in here, I thought, somewhere. Oh, the twist lock is not on sale anymore. Well, between the two flip lock tripods, I would get the cheaper one of the two. Okay, even though this one says it's a little taller, I mean, once you get up above 70 inches, it's kind of, you don't really want to extend the tripod up to its full length anyway. Okay, and then as I always promote every stream, shopping stream, always look for ND filters and variable ND filters and circular polarizers when they go on sale. Uh, Typically, it's going to be the newer brand that goes on sale. These are for the money. These are very good quality. I've never had any problems with these. I've recommended these to a lot of people. They've also enjoyed them without any issues. Uh, you can buy very high quality filters from Earth and from B&W and some other places. Uh, but you don't really need to as a hobbyist, right? Or enthusiast. You don't really need to. You can, but typically those filters are reserved for, high-end professional use. These filters, unless you, I would, unless you really have problems with a particular, if you're having a particular issue with a low end or cheap filter, like if you buy this and you're finding you're having problems, then you may want to step up. But I think most of us will find we're not having any issues with these. I've never had any issues with these kind of filters. The very cheap filters, like the $10 ones, time to time I did have a problem. Uh, so that's why I'm very critical of these cheaper filters, which ones I recommend. And these I know are no problem. This is an interesting a kaleidoscope filter. You just kind of hand hold it to create this kind of effect. I'm thinking about this for, I don't know, for $23. I don't know if I would ever use this, but it might be kind of fun. I certainly wouldn't pay $45 for something like this, but for 22, maybe. Maybe because I really like the other filter that I have. Uh, I don't know if I have it. I think it's in here. Okay. I really like this filter. I don't use it very often, but when I do, yeah, here it is. I have one of these, right? So it gives kind of a swirly bokeh. around your subject. I mean, using it here on the stream is not doing it justice because this looks stupid right here. But in the field, when you got lots of specular lights and everything, this is amazing. It's really amazing. So, uh, so this kaleidoscope thing that I just showed is kind of along those lines where, you know, if you just like to experiment and have fun in your photography, you know, you can get it right now at a good deal. I'm still up in the air because I hardly use that one, and I like that one. This one, I don't know how much I would use it, but it's a very different effect. Okay, a couple of bags. Mosisu here, like I was saying earlier, they do bag. This is a nice bag for 20, let's say $24. And yeah, it's gonna hold plenty of stuff. They're showing like mostly full frame gear in this bag, but you know, for a Micro Four Thirds stuff, you're gonna fit a lot of stuff in there. You know, there's no need to spend hundreds of dollars on an expensive high-end bag. If you're just getting started in photography, you have your camera and a couple lenses maybe, and you want a bag, something that's semi decent to carry your stuff around, this is the way to go. Now, when you really get into it, you know, maybe you want to buy a high-end bag. I did a review on some VSGO. They're sort of premium bags and they're definitely worth the money. But I would say, you know, something like this, $24, it'll do the same thing. This is a more pragmatic choice, right? Uh, and after 3, 4 years, if you use it every day, it'll probably last maybe a year or two. But if you're taking it out, you know, a couple of times a month or a couple of weekends a month, you know, this will last you 3, 4 years. But um, yeah, it seems fine. 24 bucks. I'm not going to complain. Seems well made. And Mosisu is a respected brand when it comes to bags. Okay, this is the same exact case that, oh, see, it even shows here. I bought this last year in August. This is a great case for $21. And if you have an LX100 Mark II, I can highly recommend this little half leather case. You have to kind of mold it a little bit when it comes in because it doesn't quite fit. You know, there's gaps, right? But it's got like a metal base or metal skeleton that you can kind of form a little bit when it comes in, and then it's a very nice snug fit onto the camera. So I really like this case, especially for $21 or $22. And I talked about this. You know, this is down to 10% off, so that makes this 40 bucks. This is a good deal for 74 watt with both PD100 and a 14.8 volt DC output. This battery grip, and it comes with a cable, and you know, this is a good deal, hands down. This was on sale before, but it was about the same price. They just had the price, retail price at like $69, and then it was like 20% off. I forget what it was. Now they just changed the price to $44, and then there's a 10% off coupon. I have something similar to this already, so I'm not going to get it for myself, but I definitely would if I didn't have one already. I still may get one as just as a second one because this is actually a little nicer than the one I bought, and I paid the same price. The one I bought was a 30 watt. I paid $40 for a 30-watt battery grip. This is a 74 watt with a 100-watt USB-C PD compatible output and the 14 volt. So this one is, you know, I would say twice as good as the one I got for basically the same price. But the one I got is doing what I needed to do. And having this, I don't know, it would add to, you know, it wouldn't really add anything to my photography by getting a more powerful one. But if I had the choice today, I would definitely get this one over the one that I bought. Okay, so that's the gist of it. Um, Let me close down all these windows, and I'm gonna go into the chat section, and then I'll talk about the tripod and another thing that I bought that came in from last week. And I'm thinking about getting this bag here. My tripod bag kind of ripped, so I need to replace it. So this is a good time. I just can't decide if I want the 31-inch or the 39-inch. I may just get both because they're both half price. So it's like getting buy one, get one free right now. I may just get both. I like this one because it has the handle, cross stitching here, and the strap. And this is a really good size. But I have a bag like this already. I don't know. Let me just add that one to my cart too. I'm not 100% convinced. And I need to replace my extension pole. The one that I have, I stripped the threads on it, so I can't it doesn't attach to my tripod anymore. I don't know why it has plastic threads. This one I hope has metal threads in it, but the one that I bought had plastic threads and the thread stripped, so it doesn't secure onto the tripod anymore. Um, but they're cheap enough, $17. It's not that expensive, so I don't really need to wait for this to go on sale. It'd be nice if it was on sale, so I might wait. But you can see other ones of similar ilk, right? You know, this one is carbon fiber. It's $23, but it's a little thicker. I don't know. Let me go to the chat section, see how you guys are doing, and then we'll talk about my mini tripod and my other thing that I bought. I bought two other things that I want to talk about. Okay. And first, I want to thank Juan Obaf. Hopefully, I pronounced that. Thank you for your 10 videos. They helped me a lot. Oh, well, thank you so much. I'm happy to help. And I do live streams generally every Sunday. If you ever have any questions that you want to ask me directly, you can ask here later on. But today I'd like to focus on shopping generally. But towards the end, I just make it an open Q&A for anything. But thank you so much. It's greatly appreciated. And Robert's here. Good morning. Yeah, I saw your brother in here earlier. And Peter. Hello. Another tabletop tripod option is looking at vintage. I have a few by German company called Bellora. They look cool and are great for displaying. Oh, interesting. Um, that's curious. Let's go to eBay. Uh, let's see what happens if we do this. Oh yeah. Wow, these are no joke though, but yeah, I see what you mean. These are very vintage, like 1960s looking, right? I like that though. Wow. These are pretty cool, Peter. Very, very 60s. This definitely is very 60s. But this one is pretty cool. This has got a very like rocket ship missile look to it. Very, very interesting. And then where's this other one? This other one is pretty cool. Uh, this one I like. These remind me of the Sun Pack that you buy at Best Buy a little bit. I'm sure this one's much better made, but okay, that's cool. Thank you for that suggestion there, Peter. Um, So a while back, I experimented with some 4x and 10x microscope objective lenses. You can get adapters for Micro Four Third bodies. They work quite well, but needed good light source. Yeah, they're going to be dark, right? Because the aperture is probably like f40 or f48, something like that, typically with these microscopic lenses. And but you get a really nice depth of field. Well, not really, but it does help. You get slightly more depth of field. I don't know if in a meaningful way. Probably not at 4x or 10x, but I know exactly what you're talking about. And Paul says, I've been thinking about picking up a full frame mirrorless body to use with my Canon FD lenses, which brand has the best focus assist for manual lenses, but also like IBIS. Okay, so I would steer you towards, if you have Canon FD lenses, I would steer you towards, if you want IBIS, I don't think you really need IBIS. If you don't, if seriously, if you don't need IBIS, get the Canon R8. Amazing camera. If you need the IBIS, you can get the Canon R6 Mark II. Those are the two I'd recommend because it does have a very interesting manual focus assistance where you it's hard to describe and I don't know if I can show it to you because I don't have an adapter for my Canon R8, but I found it very, very easy to manually focus with my Canon with a Canon R8 with a manual lens. I just don't have any manual lenses that I can show you. But I was using one on my friend's Canon R8, and it was so easy to use. So half the price of a Canon R6 Mark II. But if you really want IBIS, the Canon R6 Mark II is the way to go because you can buy the $100 adapter to adapt directly Canon EF glass to Canon R mount. And if it's an autofocus lens, it's going to work. If you don't have any, because you said you have FD, if you don't have any autofocus lenses, then if you're talking about just using your old Canon FD glass, uh, I think the Nikon Z5 has IBIS. That would be a really good choice. If you don't care about IBIS, I would go down to say, and it depends on the other things you're looking for. If you need a flippy screen, uh, stay with the Canon Z, or I'm sorry, Nikon Z5. If you don't care about the flippy screen, I'm thinking, honestly, if you don't care about the flippy screen, why not? I'm thinking, yeah, I can't do that. Can't. Yeah, no, you're pretty much stuck. Nikon Z5 would be my other recommendation because you can get those used for about 800 bucks or less. And that camera has everything, right, that you would need. It has IBIS, dual card slot, great sensor. It's very compact. So that makes the most sense to me because nothing from Canon R8 doesn't have IBIS. So I would I would go with Nikon. That would be my recommendation. Okay. Also, I do use them on M43, but the wide angles all become yeah, exactly. And the wide angle lenses would be 23, 24 millimeters, right? For full frame. But on micro four thirds, that's a normal range. And good to see you, Roger. And Juan says, I usually can't watch lives because I work, but today it's a holiday in Portugal. Cool. Glad you could be here. And I do have some EF lenses too, so Canon may make sense. Okay, so yeah, if you have some EF lenses, get the Canon. I'd I'd steer you towards the R8. Uh, get a couple extra batteries though. Okay, but the Canon R8, and the Canon R6 Mark II. Those are the two. You could even go with the original Canon R6, but I don't recall how good the IBIS and all that was on that camera. You might as well get an R6 Mark II, and you'll be in good shape because then you can go full Canon later, buy some Canon RF glass, like the Canon 28mm f2.8. It's only a couple $100. That's a lens I'm thinking about myself. Right. Awesome. So let me talk about, oh, Pete is here. Good to see you. So let me talk about this tripod that I bought for $14. And take off the let me take off my camera. So this tripod is really designed for phones, right? Because it has this clip that pops up like this, and then little clips here. However, it has a standard quarter 20 screw, so you can use it on anything. And also, it has the quarter 20 thread here. So this is where I would attach, potentially, if I wanted to go one-handed. I'm sorry. Oh, oh crap. I gotta check something. We might have a photo job today. Holy crap. Hold on. Oh, man. Okay, no. Yeah, it got changed to tomorrow. Phew, man, I thought I just okay. It got rescheduled for tomorrow, but I didn't update it on my calendar. So that's when my phone was reminding me 10 minutes I'm supposed to be at this site. But I'm checking a text from the client and they rescheduled it for tomorrow at 10. Man, talk about a heart attack. Anyhow, so this give me a second. I'm like all chills now, right? Um, so this tripod, so this is where I would attach that gooseneck that I was showing you earlier. I could attach the gooseneck here, have the camera up here, and and do handheld type macro photography, right? Now, so this whole setup is perfect. It looked perfect when I was ordering it, and at $14, it's still perfect for this price point. But this is where it's a little bit weak. Uh, one is I can't change the ball head on this. You're stuck with this sort of hybrid ball head. So, and this is all plastic up here. So I'm not crazy about that. Also, the actual ball joint in here, while the back plate and the side going into the quarter 20 screw, this is all metal. The compression here for the ball joint is plastic. So the problem that causes is I have to really kind of over tighten this to hold this camera and lens setup. I don't like that. I don't like to push things to their limit to use them. So by attaching this camera and lens with, and of course I have my base plate here with a quarter 20 screw. This is my grip, but it has a separate quarter 20 screw that this screws right into. I'm really pushing this to its limit. So that's the problem I'm having is I'm trying to also this is all metal here, the legs. The legs are all metal, and then there's this sort of carbon fiber-ish rubberized grip. So it feels really good in the hand. Like once you got a good grip on this, it ain't gonna slip out. If it's raining because it's rubberized, still gonna have a good grip, or if your hands get wet. The other thing it does is it extends up. like this. So that gives you a little more versatility, right? But again, this is a little bit top heavy. So if I put this on a table, it'll stand up just fine. But if I'm going to use this outdoors on the ground, it could be a little bit off, right? The center of gravity could be a little off, and it's not going to be very stable if I extend this all the way up. So that's why I immediately ordered the other tripod that should come in today. It cost me $20 instead of $14. But that has an all metal ball head. I can change the ball head if I want to. And um, it also has a hot shoe and quarter 20 screw on it on the side with extendable legs. So it doesn't get as tall as this one, but that's not quite as critical for me. Because if I need to get higher than this, I'm just going to use a regular tripod. I have smaller travel tripods I can use. But this tripod, just like the other one I'm going to get, yes, this is the kind of tripod you can just stuff in the side of your bag. Oops, well, not that side, but this side. I can just stuff into the side pocket like this. I don't have to put it in the bag. That's why I was saying that other tabletop tripod that I showed you, I would have to take up a slot in my little carry-on bag. But with these little ones, I don't have to do that. So once I get this workflow down in the right tripod, the exact right tripod, so I'm not too upset. I'm not too upset with getting this one because it is excellent quality for $14. This is excellent. Okay. Much better than anything else out there at this price point. In fact, there's nothing like this at this price point. $14 for a little tabletop tripod that does all this. There's nothing else out there. So I might actually use it for its intended purposes. Uh, use it for my cell phone to do B-roll, right? Or I can use it with my OM3, long as I don't extend the base up, because it's actually pretty stable like this. But the problem, like I said, is that I'm really reaching the weight limit of this tripod, so I have to kind of over tighten this. And that's what I don't like. If this was all metal, I'd have a little higher confidence that I could, push this to its limits. But you know how plastic is. You start pushing plastic to its limits repeatedly, it's gonna crack. So that's my only problem with this. Now, if you have like a EM10 Mark II with a kit lens, this is going to be fine because that's a few hundred grams lighter than this setup that I have here. But I would still overall, I'd probably still steer you towards the other tripod that I ordered that should come in today rather than this one if you're going to use a legit camera. So it's kind of my bad for maybe expecting too much out of this because when I saw that the legs were all metal and that the center extension column was all metal, when I looked at the picture, I thought maybe I could replace or remove the ball head here and put my own, like the other one that I showed you that's on sale for $8. This would be perfectamundo, but I can't do that. This is like I've tried to turn this, but yeah, it's on there. It's on there permanent. I don't know if it's welded in there with compression rings or they use compression nuts instead of regular screws. But I can't get this. I can't take this off. Uh, I don't know. Maybe if I take it apart, there's just a couple of Allen wrenches. But it doesn't matter now. I ordered a $20 one that's going to perfectly replace this. Okay. Get the paddles out. I know. I was so bad. And Paul says, I love my short little tripod. I also use the feet of my Sura monopod and the ball head I purchased. Yes. The Sura monopod, the one that I have now, just attaches so quickly and converts so easily. that if I'm going out with that monopod, I don't need to bring this, right? Because I can easily convert the monopod. But a lot of times, the only time I bring the monopod is if I'm going to do some birding. So this is going to be a good option. I don't know. We'll have to see between the two mini tripods that I got. I may still go with this more often. So I like this. I like this little versatility. This might be better in the studio though, for doing live comp and still life. Or I'll just use it as a B-roll tripod or selfie tripod. Like I can put my phone on the end and and be a Gen Zer or whatever. Okay. Any other questions? Um, Trying to see if I missed anything. Yeah, I think that's it. You guys are awesome. Um, oh, okay. Yeah, there's a couple other things I didn't talk about. So I bought these. See how thin that is? This is an Arca Swiss plate, super thin. Okay. Um, Normally they're really thick like this, right? And I thought this was pretty small, but I got a two pack. Look at this on my LX Deluxe 8. Super thin compared to, let me see if I can get some light. Yeah. Look at the difference in that. Let me get level. So, yeah, this is nice. I have it on here. And it doesn't block the battery door because it's so small, but it's perfect. It's perfect. And I have a Arca Swiss clamp here that I have another tabletop tripod here. I don't like this one quite as much. This is my Manfrotto one. Okay, I'm going to tell you not to buy this one. All right, but there's a little mini Arca Swiss clamp. This is a Manfrotto tabletop tripod. Has extendable legs, and it goes all the way flat as well. But you can see I had to put like this is a tennis wrap, like for tennis rackets. So I bought some tennis racket grip because this handle is so slippery. My God, it's just slippery. I could not hold my camera. Like I couldn't hold the tripod without it feeling like it was going to fall out of my hand. So I put this tennis racket tape around it, right, for the grip. The ball head is actually pretty good. It does tighten up and it easily holds my OM3. This I used actually, I think back when I had my uh, D750. But yeah, it's not stable. Everything kind of flexes. Um, so if I adjust this, it just when I attach everything, it just doesn't have the stability because there's just too many moving parts here that are not that you can't, like it's hard to explain. Just don't buy this, okay? It's expensive anyway. Don't buy this. I think I paid like 50 or $60 for this thing. And I hardly use it because when I have the camera on top and I push the shutter button, everything moves. And it's not because the ball head's not tight. The ball head is tight, but it's the entire structure here of the legs, the way these legs extend, everything, and the plastic that they use here. This is plastic, this ball. It just doesn't have any rigidity. That's the word I'm looking for. It has no rigidity at all to it for a stable base. Like if you're going to use it as a tabletop tripod. If you do, you have to put like a 12-second timer on it so that everything stops moving after you push the shutter button. Whereas something like this is very solid, as long as you stay within the weight limit. And the other tripod I'm going to get. So anyway, so this thing, this little mini plate is so small, but you just put it into your Arca Swiss like that. I mean, I just love this. It's so tiny. So I'm going to put a link to this. Problem is, it's 20 bucks. I could not find a cheaper one that was this thin. So I'm going to put this on my, because this base plate does not have an Arca Swiss to it. So I'm going to put this on here for my OM3. Anyway, I'm gonna put this on my OM3 because it's really small. So I do use a tripod quite a bit. So this is a nice small plate that I can put on here. It just doesn't add any, it doesn't add any dimensions to your camera. It's still relatively small and compact, right? Okay. And what if you use a remote shutter release via the Manfrotto? Yeah, you can, clearly, right? Um, but the OM3, for example, I would have to use the app. I wouldn't, because you can't find the shutter release anywhere for it. That's kind of my challenge right now. Let me see if it's out yet. I don't think it is. Um, oh, speaking of 4.5x macro, um, let's see. Yeah, it's still not available. And the problem with the app, it's not 100% flexible with camera settings and things. I know you can shoot in manual, but if I put the camera into a computational mode or something, the app is kind of limited, right? So remote shutter release would kind of solve that problem because you just set the camera to what you want. And if I want to do 4K video, all kinds of things, right? The app's a little bit weak. I mean, it's fine for probably it's like an 80/20 type app. It'll do 80% of everything you need, but 20% it won't. Whereas if you have just a simple remote shutter release. So that's kind of my challenge. And this is my go-to camera now. I have remote shutter release for my OM1, generic one. But there's no way to remotely release the shutter on the OM3 without that trigger that I just showed you, that I have found. Yeah, the Panasonic app is pretty good. I remember using that. I I will get back into the Panasonic system, not the Micro Four Thirds side, but definitely on the full frame side that they have. It's just the timing is it's not ideal financially for me right now. Okay, let me show you the other thing I got that is kind of related. It's very small, so I don't know where I put it. Give me a second. It came in this box. Where is it? My bag? Damn it. It's not in my bag. Where is it? That's the problem with little things. They're easy to lose, especially in this frickin' room. If you don't have a little vacuum or blower, you should get one of these too. Okay, where's this? Come on, it's got to be right here. Where? Why isn't it right here? It's stressing me. I could have sworn I put it right in my bag because I was like, I can use this. This is hilarious. I can't find it. Why isn't it like right here? Oh, here. Yeah. Damn it. This is not it. Oh, this is it. Okay. All right. So, all right. So I put it in the drawer it's supposed to be in. Mm. I just forgot I put it in that drawer because I have a couple other ones similar. So I got this thing, right? Because the OM3 does not have this little sync pin for flash, right? And when I'm using this flash, this flash is I think I showed this before. Anyway, you get the idea, right? You can rotate this around, you mount your camera here, and you got the perfect event photography setup. But to use this flash, you need this or this or one of the honking triggers from Godot's, the wireless triggers, right? So I went to I did the event and I had to borrow somebody's trigger. But you got this big honking trigger on here to use with this. It kind of takes away the mojo of this setup, right? So you know, s- so maybe you go ahead and you buy one of these, a little X3 trigger, and that's perfectly fine. This will work too, right? And that's a little bit more less, it's a little more in the spirit of using the flash, micro four thirds, everything is nice and small. But with this, but this is a touch screen and TTL and all that. I don't need that. I just need manual. So with this, I have this on top, and I take the little sync cable like this, and then there's a little PC sync plug right here, right? So I plug that into there. And now I got full manual control, 100% reliable, right? You're not gonna have misfires because it's wireless. And so yeah, I'm pretty happy about this. This was $12 for this thing. And then there's a pass-through thing up here. You don't really need that. You might need this for what I've seen some people do is they sort of daisy chain their flashes with PC sync cord. What I like about this setup is because you can get PC cords, like you can get TTL cords, but they're really thick and they're coiled, and they add a lot of bulk to the setup, right? Those cords are typically used for holding the camera way up here. Or I'm sorry, holding the flash way up over your head and then having the camera here, and then you got this thick coiled cord going all the way up to your flash. This you can do the same thing. You can buy longer ones. It's much thinner, uh, but it's a little more fragile, right? If you're going to be holding the flash over your head all the time, it's better to get the thicker coiled TTL type cables. But this is great for when you have the flash, because a lot of people don't use that. They just use like their Godox V1 on a flash bracket, somewhere. A lot of people have cages and rigs. And this also has a little PC sync uh, thing in it too. So yeah. So now I'm good. So for my next event, this is the way I'm gonna go. It's 100% reliable. And plug this in. So I have to take this off. Anyway, you get the idea. So those are the things I bought that I really like. I'm gonna really like the tripod when it comes in today, the other one. I like this one, but it's yeah, I don't like the fact that I'm pushing it to its limit. But I did use it to do some macro shots yesterday, and it was fine. It held, but I have to really over tighten it, otherwise the camera will droop, right? Because I'm not getting good compression here because I'm right at the tripod limit. Okay, can you give me brief? Oh, hold on. The RMWR2 works great. So you have one? I'm jealous. Where did you get yours? I've been on the wait list forever for the WR2. Um, and Paul says the OM52 is now sounding like a very minimal upgrade. Most likely it's going to be like the OM1, right? Just a little bit downsized. So it'll probably be like the OM3, but in an OM1, OM5 body. But we'll see. Hopefully, because everybody's complaining about the base plate. It's not really a bigger problem as I think people make it out to be, unless it happens to you. It's never happened to me on my EM5 Mark III, but I have seen it happen to people in real life. Uh, and they didn't put that much strain on the bottom. It just broke very easily with very little stress. But as you know, I'm a big advocate of always using full metal base plate to distribute the weight across the bottom of the camera, regardless if it's metal or plastic. So I've seen people break their metal tripod, mounts on their camera as well, because they put too big, heavy of a lens on there, and then it snaps, right? Or the camera falls, the tripod falls over with the camera on it, and it breaks. So I've seen people break, but it's less likely to happen if you have that. It still happens though. You can still break the tripod mount on your camera, even if you have a full plate. But it's much less likely, especially with this half case, because the half case distributes the weight in different directions, right? Up here along the sides, along the bottom. So this is very, very stable. So I'm very confident if this drops, I'm not going to break the tripod mount. Might break the lens, but I think the camera will be okay. But yeah, I don't know. The OM5 Mark II, if it comes out to be exactly the same body, the plastic body that they have now, without any improvements on the base plate, that's going to be a problem for ARM systems. Uh, Maybe not so much with new customers, because new people buying this as maybe their first they don't know anything. But yeah, that could be a problem because there's a lot of people still have the EM5 Mark III, like me. I skipped the OM5 because of the USB-C port, and it didn't offer a whole lot more than I could already do with my OM1 anyway. Old menu system, all that, OM5 is a great camera, no question. But, for my scenario, it didn't make any sense to get one. But an OM5 Mark II depends what it has. If all it is a plastic OM1, right, with no improvements in the base plate, I don't know if I would upgrade to that either. Uh, Now, if the only camera I had was an EM5 Mark III, and I can use the same grip and everything because I have a full base, but I'm using it right now for this stream. Otherwise, I'd show you. But I have a nice base plate grip that I probably would upgrade to the OM5 Mark II because it'll have the USB-C, so I can power the camera directly via that port. It'll have all of the subject detection. I think it would be an awesome upgrade for people that have the M5 Mark III to go to the OM5 Mark II, assuming they have no problems with the base plate, right? Like I don't have a problem with it, so I would happily buy it even if it has the same body. That said, I think it's going to be a problem if it is for a lot of people, you know, especially if their EM5 Mark III base plate broke. They're not going to buy another one with the same design. Um, oh, and they have it in the UK. Yeah, it's awesome. I'm waiting. When I get it, I'll be very happy camper. Okay, so Paul, I'm sorry. I assume you're asking about this flash, right? All right, so it is, it's a little wonky to get this open, but let me let me get this spread. All right. So you have the bulb here, it's plastic, but it pushes in and out. Uh, this is adjustable up 90 degrees and then down. So you can get some nice bounce flash for it. This bracket is very secure and adjustable, right? So I can mount basically any camera on here, and then I have a nice left-hand grip. And it's very secure. I haven't had any problems with this. There's a USB-C port to charge the internal battery, but this is not replaceable. So I wouldn't worry about it. 4 or 5 years from now, if the battery starts to go on you, just buy another one. There'll be something better out by then anyway. I don't anticipate this ever going bad on me because I have so many flashes, but if this were my only flash and I did events all the time, yeah, after a few years, this battery might start to get weak. So that's the only really downside to this design is the battery is not replaceable. On the back, here's the power button and touch screen here. So you rotate the unlock, and it has full Godox X trigger compatibility. So you can use it with any of the Godox X triggers, TTL, high speed sync, multi strobic, full manual, and also the auto syncing. So you can auto sync. That's the most stupid thing ever, in my opinion, but it has an auto sync for wireless frequency, channel and number and ID. I guess it can be useful. I never use it. Once I set the channel and ID or channel and group, I'm good. Uh, but yeah, it's a pretty nice little display. And there's the modes, right? Wireless, and then anyway, what I like about this, I'm going to use it in manual mode, right? So let me put it in manual mode. So I'm going to go to there's multi manual, and I can go through the menu just using this wheel and button here. It's clickable button here. But if when I'm holding, okay, so I'm going to hold this with my left hand like this, so my thumb is right there on that wheel, and you can see how quickly I can just change the power very quickly manually. But I'd be using my thumb while I'm doing the camera. So normally at an event, I'll have the flash power set to a certain power, and that's going to be good for 80% of my shots, right? Then, I'm always an 80-20 guy. 20% of the shots I'm going to have to adjust up or down. So it's very nice to have this uh, wheel right here. It's very convenient for manual, and that's why I can get away with using just the PC sync cord that I talked about. If I wanted to do full TTL, then I could do that, but I'd have to use, one of the triggers. Uh, and this will last a few hours at an event. I didn't have any problems. I used it for a couple hours at the last event, at the golf event that I went to, outdoors. So it was popping at almost full power the whole time. probably popping between, well, maybe 1/4 power on average, not full power, but I was popping at about a quarter power in TTL mode because I was using an X trigger. I should have went full manual, but it's weird adjusting the manual here. I can't I can't adjust the manual here and use the manual trigger at the same time. It gets a little confusing, at least in my brain. Maybe I don't have a workflow that makes sense yet. But I was having trouble controlling it manually when using an X trigger because the manual setting on the X trigger might be different than what I dialed in here. And then every time I pop the flash, it'll revert back to what's on the trigger. And it's a pain in the ass to adjust the power on the trigger, especially these little tiny, these little tiny X3 things. And it's not as fast as being right here on the thumb. So I much prefer PC sync cord, 100% reliable, and just adjusting with my thumb. Because, for example, a very common scenario where I have to adjust the power very quickly is like when I want to bounce, right? So I'm doing a group shot. I'll tilt the flash up a little bit, or maybe all the way up. But usually I do something about like this and set it to full power and take the shot for the group, and the light spreads around, bounce off the ceiling, spreads around, everything's perfect. Because I can always adjust, if the exposure's off slightly in post processing. But I don't know if you had any other questions other than that. I think it's a great flash, though. The thing you have to check though is when you get if you buy one, go to my, oh, I forget. I think you're in Australia, so you have to go. I don't have any Australia links. I might, but it's so expensive in Australia stuff. But if you do get one, make sure that this is very secure right here. This part here, because I did have one user reach out to me that bought one off my recommendation, and this was loose. And we exchanged emails back and forth, actually exchanged videos back and forth showing how tight mine is and how loose his was. And I said, yours is defective. You need to get another one. So that's the only time I've heard any problems with, we'll call it a quality control issue with this particular unit. And this is all plastic too. This is metal, okay? But this is plastic, this is plastic, so it's lightweight. This is metal, so it's very lightweight. It feels lighter actually than the V1 even with this bracket on here. So I hope that answers your question. It has plenty of power. It's equal to this for all intents and purposes. This is a little brighter, but not in a meaningful way. Okay, and CMDR, good to see you. Hello. And hope they at least put a USB-C that yeah, they're gonna put a USB-C in new menus. No question. No question on my mind. I mean, I don't know for a fact, okay, because they didn't send me one. Uh, but maybe I missed the email. I miss a lot of emails, unfortunately. Um, but I didn't get one in advance this time, so everything I say is purely speculation. But it would be crazy if it has the old menu system, and it's definitely gonna have USB-C. But if all they did was put a USB-C port in, that's gonna be a problem. But they're gonna put the new stack sensor, so you're gonna get very good sports action camera. And if they can price it around $1,500 or less, I think they'll have a winner. The only problem being is that base plate. That's going to be a problem for existing users that know about it, which most of us do at this point, right? Most of the people buying OM system, we're all legacy owners of Olympus. They're I the OM3 is going to bring in a lot of new customers, I think. I hope it did. And as the OM1 Mark I did, it brought a lot of new people into the system. But the OM5 Mark II, I never saw that as bringing a lot of new people into the system. The original EM5 Mark II, maybe. But the EM5 Mark III, the OM5, I didn't see it bringing, my feeling is it didn't bring a lot of new people into the system. It's good, and they're great cameras. but the price point, we're talking, there's a lot of full frame not a lot, but there's a few full frame cameras at the same price point, and it's all brainwashing that full frame is better. So people go for that despite, like the Canon R8, I paid $12.99, full frame, 24 megapixel, 40 frame per second, pro capture, focus stacking. It has a lot of features, but no IBIS, no weather sealing, all plastic body, you know, uh, sad battery life, and, a lot of other issues, right? I don't want to call them issues. They're really compromises. A lot of compromises made. So people looking at a Canon R8 and an OM5, they're going to be like, I'm getting the Canon R8. It's about the same size, the body. I mean, it's bigger, but you know what you know where I'm going, right? It's not like it's night and day difference like it used to be. You'd get a full frame DSLR. That was a freaking brick compared to, say, the original OM5, EM5 Mark One next to a typical DSLR. Yeah, there's a huge advantage there, but not so much anymore between full frame. When we're looking at the bodies, when you get into the lenses, clearly there's a huge difference. But uh, and Intrigue is here. Good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while, buddy. Man, it's been a while. Reminds me of old school. What make and model is? Oh, it's the Godox Deluxe Master, I think. Let me see. Um, if you go to my shop page, again, it's just robtrek.com, or it's on my general page here. Studio and portraits, flash photography. So we go in here. Here's an $18 flash. Uh, where did it go? Here. Godox Lux Master. This has only been on sale one time in the year or plus that I've had it. It got down to $183. And I think one or two people may have bought it at that price when I told people about it. They should have sold out. There's times when I recommend stuff and I'm like, why didn't like 1,000 people buy this thing? But anyway, I get why people wouldn't buy this because this is kind of weird. It's kind of a niche product, but yeah, this is it here. So I'll put a link. I'll put a link for you just so you can look at it directly. I don't know where you're buying it from, but this is my USA affiliate link. Theoretically, if you click on my link, even though it's a USA link, it might take you to your country's Amazon site. They're supposed to do that now, but I don't know how reliable that is. But there you go. What is the guide number? Do you know, please? Oh, it's going to be very similar to the Godox V1, but uh, I found it to be about a quarter, maybe a half a stop less bright than the V1. Guide numbers are not generally reliable, but I know they do list it. Um, 25. So the guide number is 25 at ISO 100. They didn't really list the meters. Because if we look at a Godox V1, let's see what the Godox V1 is. Because the Godox V1 is a full power flash, right? Where's the guide number? V1 Canon. Wow, the V1s are on sale, but they don't have the magnetic mount anymore. Some kind of patent ban. All right, guide number. So it's 28 meters versus 25. So yeah, so what I said earlier is about right. It's almost as bright as the V1, but not quite. I'd rather go to the local camera store and vent of problems I put on their counter and tell them to fix it. Also, I'll keep them in business. Yes. Always, 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 always go to your local camera store if they have the product that you're looking for. You know, always support your local camera store if you can. Mine is District Camera, so I always buy my stuff there when I can. Like a couple of my tripods and my Canon R8 and lenses for that. My Sony R5, A7R5, I bought from them. I buy a lot of stuff from them, but a lot of little things like triggers. I bought a couple of triggers from them, but a lot of little things I get for free, right? Because I have a channel, and then a lot of little things they don't have exactly what I'm looking for. Like if I went there now, I said, I need some gooseneck soldering wire clamps for my macro photography. I seriously doubt they're going to have that. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of things I have to buy online. They seem to be saying now that it's not getting a stack sensor. Then why release it? I would. I'm very curious. If it doesn't have a stack sensor, I would be surprised. I don't know. Hey, Contrail is here. Hey, Rob. Hi, all. Gassing bad for the LX10. So hoping your shopping stream will quell that. Oh, okay. Um, Let me see what an LX10 is going for. Lumix LX10. Oh, the 1 inch. Oh, yeah. Shit. Oh, man. Have they lost their freaking mind? I remember when it was selling brand new for 500 and they were asking 500 for a used one. And I was like, hell no. I ain't paying $500 when they used to be brand new for 500. Now look, this is insane. Okay, I can tell you, I can cure gas. Don't buy this. Um, for 750 bucks, there's no way I would buy this. Even used for 500, I wouldn't buy it. I did not buy it when it was used for 500. There are much, much more interesting cameras at this price point. A camera I can let's see if they have this. This is a cool camera. I only paid 200 for mine, but I bought it before things went crazy. Uh, I have taken so many great pictures with this camera, and it's very compact and small, and it's half the price. You can probably find it cheaper if you shop around, but uh, I can recommend this one. All right, here's I got my XZ2 for $100. I wonder what they go for now. Mint condition. These are two amazing alternatives. I know these are not 1-inch sensors, okay, but it doesn't matter. This LX5, this has the CMOS sensor, not the newer CCD. You have to go to the LX7. The LX7 is technically the better camera, but this has a little more flare to it because it's a CCD sensor. The color science is a little different. And plus, you get kind of the uniqueness of having a CCD sensor, even if the colors don't look innate, but they do look different. I don't know if it's necessarily because of the sensor, but this is an amazing, amazing camera. And I'm having trouble finding the beauty ring for it. But this literally, it goes right in your shirt pocket. No problem. Easily in a shirt pocket. No tilty screen, nothing, but just go to my Flickr page. Let me type in LX5. I have an album for it here. So let me give you the link to this. Okay. LX5 photos. Just go to that page on Flickr, on my Flickr page. I'll share a couple images here. I mean, look how gorgeous and the detail in this. This is a 10 megapixel sensor. Look at the details I was able to pull out of this sensor. And here's a comparison, LX5 versus the XZ2. This is the LX5 when my nephew was out flying a plane. This is a captured owl. It has black and white mode. I love, love, love this little camera. It's so tiny. And I mean, if you the LX5, the LX10, great little camera, but that's too much. Don't pay $750. And the colors out of this are a little bit warmer than their CCD counterparts. Uh, I wanted to get to this is a panel. I stitched, I think, 5 or 6 pictures together. I mean, so if you're looking for a pocketable camera, I'm telling you, LX5, this LX5 is just amazing. I mean, I cannot complain about this camera at all. I did a lot of black and white, didn't I? There's got to be some color. I did some color diptychs too. Yeah, here's one. Or this is a triptych that I did. Uh, the idea being is this sort of this teal and orange, or teal and red, teal and orange, teal and red. Um, what's interesting about this triptych is these are all very different locations. I mean, it's still in the city of Ellicott City, but here I'm across the bridge. Here I'm like 5 or 6 blocks away. I got this picture. I was lucky this teal truck kind of was driving onto the red bridge. Because that really tied together this image. This has a red door, or I'm sorry, teal door and a red table. And then you have the teal chair and red chair over here. I don't know what it is, but this town really likes. But look how nice these images are. These are all LX5. So oh, here's another comparison. What was this? Yeah, these are old cameras. This is my Pentax K10 versus my LX5. These are both 10 megapixel cameras, but The LX, the K5, or I'm sorry, the K10 is an APS-C, and this is a 1 over 2 third. No, it's a 1 over 1.7. It has a slightly larger sensor than a typical compact. Okay, so Contrail LX5. Let me see on eBay how much they're going for. 200 bucks. There you go. 100% working. Shoot, I might have to get another one because I'm missing the beauty ring. See, this has the beauty ring on it. This I don't know why that bothers me, but it bothers me. I don't have the beauty ring. I don't know if I want to spend 200 bucks just to get that though. I wonder if they have an LX5 for parts repair. $73. Okay, that's doable. So do they say what's wrong with it? This item sold, the item has not been fully, it may have obvious problems or issues or may require repairs. I didn't see above full description and comments. They don't have, it has not been fully tested, but what does that mean? They usually tell you that it doesn't turn on. This item may have obvious problems that will make it unusable or require repairs. So they just say inoperable. So I guess it doesn't turn on. Anyhow, oh shoot, I forgot to check. Does it have, it comes with the beauty ring though. I hadn't considered that. Yeah, I'm telling you, you will enjoy that camera so much more because there's nothing like shooting with the underdog, right? I mean, LX10 is an underdog camera to begin with. Why not go LX5? It's even more compact, and batteries are easily available. Battery life was fine. I went all day. I did a photo, I only probably took about 100 pictures, but no, I went all day with it. It has the little I hate this anyway. I never use this. This little aspect ratio switch just doesn't make sense to me. But really well made. All metal buttons here. All these buttons are metal. All the switches and buttons up here. Well, this dial is plastic, but this is metal. The toggle, the buttons here are metal. All metal body. Even the battery door is metal. I think no, the battery door is plastic. And memory card. Yeah, man, it makes me want to go out and shoot with this today. But I got to do a lens review on this lens. It's okay. I'll talk about that. You can watch if you want to buy a Sony 85 millimeter lens, you can watch my review. It's a decent lens. Uh, Hello, Rob. I'm looking for a Pocket 3 alternative. I would like 4K 60 and pocketable size. I was looking at the PowerShot V1, but would like a little more research if possible. But the V1 top choice at the moment. Oh, interesting. All right, so these pocket cameras, right? They have the gimbal on them. So that's a very, very different experience than or use case than using a PowerShot V1. So let me look up the V1 real quick. This is that new camera, right? This is the new camera. And this does 4K 60. Has a 1.4-inch sensor. So this is the one they said is kind of like a Micro Four Thirds sensor. Okay. All right. Here's here's my thoughts on this. This genre in general of these vlogging type cameras. Because I've bought I'm using this one at the moment. So I'm gonna because really the vlogging, all these cameras are gonna do decent, right? If you need 4K 60, this one's fine, the V1, the Pocket 3 or whatever. But the real problem okay, this is not even all of the ones that I have. I know I have a problem. Okay, so this is the workflow is the issue, particularly with battery life. Uh, this one has the worst battery life by far. This is the little Insta360 Go, but it has some pretty amazing workflow alternatives. So this this thing, you get a little magnet, and you can just stick it to your shirt like this, right? And record video. Stabilization is perfect. I have it comes with a hat clip. I've done this before. Well, anyway, there's a little slot here. You put it on the brim of your cap, like a baseball cap. You can. Why don't I have a hat here? Oh, here's one. So you just put it on the brim of your cap. And this is great too, right? It weighs nothing, but you only get about an hour of battery with this. And then if you use it in here, you get another hour of battery. So you can get a couple hours out of it, which sounds like a lot, but it's not. Because in practice, I end up with about 30 minutes of video altogether. Okay. Because I'm leaving it on most of the time, but I'm not recording. And that just drains your battery. So I only get about 30 minutes of video recording before the batteries die. So I had to come up with uh, battery workflow solutions. Ah, and I came up with this. I have the quarter 20 adapter. I came up with this. This is a battery grip that I talked about earlier in the stream. The USB-C cable plugs in here, and I plug this into the quarter 20 adapter. It's in my bag. This works pretty well. Then I can go all day long with this battery grip. So to make this solution actually viable for vlogging, you need to get a battery grip, okay? And keep this thing charged on a regular basis if you want more than 30 minutes worth of footage. This is the workflow, but it's very, very flexible. You don't have to worry about if it's tilted one direction or the other. I think the new one does have 4K. I don't know if it's 4K 60 or not. I'm not sure why that's a thing for you, if you why you need 4K 60, but that's what you said. So I don't know if this is even an option for you, but I wanted to talk about the workflow of a device like this. I think the new one has 4K 60. This one does not. Okay. Then there's this style, right? GoPro style. This is another Insta360 brand. There's the GoPro style. This one has the limitation of uh well, this doesn't have the same this has a much easier workflow, but it's a little bigger, bulkier, and it's not as flexible. Like I'm not gonna put this on my hat. I'm not gonna I can't put it on my chest unless I get one of those big straps, right? That you see people walking around with. They look like freaking they're going to war or something. They got all their tactical gear on. Whereas, this one you can just use a little magnet or put it on your hat. You can't do that with this so much. And so there's this style, but The advantage of this is, yeah, the battery life is not great, but you can easily carry a couple of spares. I got this dual charger, and then I got this cage, right? And you can get cages. Every brand has a cage that'll fit. Small Rig makes a lot of them. So if I need to change, and so I got the quarter 20s, the GoPro mounts, everything, hot shoes in here. So cages are readily available for whatever brand GoPro style you get. I can easily swap the battery, right? And with 3 batteries, and these are OEM batteries, not generics, okay? Don't buy generic batteries for this kind of camera. But yeah, I can very easily get going again. And of course, if I want to, I can use the grip. But generally, I don't need to do that. Generally, when I go out with this camera, I just bring this with 2 fully charged batteries. This this does not have replaceable batteries. It's all internal. Has a flip-up screen, so this is convenient, right? But anyhow, but this is way more versatile, and you just need to buy one of these and you're good to go. And finally, there's this gimbal style, right? This you have to be really careful. This is the Pocket One, but this had the Pocket Three has solved all of the issues I had with this one, right? Battery life, uh, screen size is so tiny on this, and the Wi-Fi and the microphone setup. Pocket Three solved all of the problems. The Pocket Two solved all of the problems. So the Pocket 2 is just as good as the Pocket 3 in my opinion. But uh so don't get the Pocket 1 because the battery's not interchangeable and uh that's one of the problems I'm having with this now is the battery doesn't last very long because it's kind of worn out. But this is very fragile. People break this thing all the time. And the footage is very stable though, right? And you can do lots of video sort of cinematic moves with this that you can't do with these other 2 necessarily. You kind of can, but this makes it very simple. And it has, if you want it to follow you around in a circle, you can do that. You can't do that with these with these style things. You have to have it on a gimbal that will rotate around and stuff. This one has its gimbal built in. So this is extremely flexible. If you're a one-man operation and you set this up on a tripod, then you can walk around the scene, come back and forth, and it'll track you and do everything. So that's really good for vlogging one-man operations, right? And that's why I use this because when I would do vlogging, I would get down low on the ground. The camera would track me as I got down on the ground and took pictures, and then as I stood up and started talking again. So this is something you can do that you're not going to be able to do with this Canon, right? Because a Canon is basically like a big GoPro. All right. So I would say the Pocket 3 will do everything the Canon V1 does and more, especially if you are one-man operation and you want the camera to follow you as you walk around the scene. Because I don't know what you're going to be using it for, but if you're going to be talking about things at a scene and a location and you're moving around a lot, the Pocket 3 makes a ton more sense. And it's going to be much more versatile. The only downside is Sting. Man, this breaks, you got problems. And don't worry about image quality. They're they're all gonna suck compared to, say, a regular, like real camera versus these little tiny pocket ones. Uh, so if you're gonna start with 4K 60, make a list of those cameras and then think about the workflow from there. What's the most important thing for you, right? Ultimate flexibility. Ultimate. I know it doesn't follow you around like on a gimbal, but uh nothing beats just let me tell you, this is awesome. Being able to just drop this with because they give you a little magnet that you can put under your shirt, and this will just stick here, or put it on your cap. It has the flip around screen. I mean, this is extremely versatile, but you just need to get the battery grip. If you really want to get a couple hours of video footage, you need to get a grip. Oh, and no external memory card. It's all built in. So get a 256 gig minimum. I don't know if they have higher, but you want to get the highest memory available. Uh, these guys, these guys are great because they're very durable. I've dropped this so many times. You have a lot of cage options, and the battery options are very, very simple, straightforward, and very easy to do. But so you trade off flexibility for in terms of how you can use it for flexibility with battery options and cage options. This is much more flexible. And then just in summary, real quick, Pocket 3 does everything all of these things do better, but the trade-off is this is very fragile, right? The hell is that? Anyway, sound like a woodpecker in my attic. Anyway, this is the trade-off is you don't want to break this, and it's a little bit awkward to use, but that's not a big deal. You can get used to anything. I hope that helps because I can't guide you specifically to a specific camera, but I can guide you through the different workflows. And the Canon is going to have a very similar workflow to a GoPro. It's just bigger and bulkier, right? But there's going to be cage options, and it's going to have decent video quality. But I would say I don't know why you would buy the Canon that's $900. I can get a GoPro style. Whether it's the Insta360, they're usually around 500 bucks, right? For about between $400 and $500, you can get an action type style that I think is much more appropriate for vlogging than say this little Canon. This Canon doesn't make sense to me. Um, I'm just looking at it. I just don't see the lens is an f2.8, so it's not very fast there. I mean, honestly, I would buy an OM5 or yeah, I'd probably just buy an OM5 rather than buy this. It's the same price. Then you have to buy lenses, but it's a much more versatile solution. Okay, I hope that helps a little. It's all about the workflow with those things because when you're out vlogging, you want to have the most you want to have the camera that is most in tune with your workflow because that's why I have so many because this was my very first one, and I like this. And if the Pocket 3 were available instead of this, I would probably still be sticking with this overall. This would probably be my first choice. But now I use this mostly because of the flexibility, and I solved the battery life problem with the grip. But this I never use anymore. I might give this away. So I just never use it. I kind of want the Pocket 3, but wow, what does a Pocket 3 sell for? Oh, man, I almost dropped the F bomb. Are you kidding me? $800? All right, just get a Pocket 2, man. The Pocket 2 fixed a couple of problems that the Pocket 1 had. Specifically, the battery option is much easier. The maneuvering the screen is easier because they have a little joystick now. It had a larger sensor in it, and also the microphone is wireless. They have a wireless microphone for it. This is the way to go. I would not bother with a Pocket 3, not for $800. There's just no way. And it has 4K 60 video. Yeah, this is the way to go. If you want to go with this style, this is the way to go. Should give the GR3 a challenge. No, no way. GR3 is a way better camera than that Canon. If you want to talk about street photography. Um, so I want to get the DJI Action 5 because the mic now talks wireless direction to the camera. This will do that. This is an old one, and it had the Insta360 now talks wireless. This one has Bluetooth. So I used my Apple AirPods with this for microphone. So you don't even need to buy the branded microphones. You can use any Bluetooth headset like that you would use for your cell phone with this. Again, workflow issue, right? What workflow is going to be best? So that's why I like this one. I forgot all about that, but you bring up a good point. That's another workflow issue is the microphones. Rob, do you recommend any Olympus pocket cameras? Yeah, TG5. TG5, TG6 is a little better. And of course, the TG7 has USB-C. But yeah, TG5, hands down. That's the best pocket camera. I mean, it's right now it's the only one they make, but it is really best pocket camera out there. Because when I bought my TG5, I was thinking about like a GR something, whatever was out at the time. And also, what was the other camera? It was one of the Sonys, I think, like the RX100 and the Canon. Canon had their little what do you call those things? Because they're ridiculously priced now. Anyway, Canon had a fixed lens zoom camera too, right at the time, and I decided to go with the TG5 because it's the most durable, takes great photos. The autofocus on video sucks, but I didn't care about that. I would just manually focus when I'm in video mode and or set the focus point and not do continuous autofocus. It's a tiny sensor anyway, so you don't have to worry about depth of field. But yeah, I would go TG5. The TG6 added something to the focus stacking, I think like a timer delay or something. The TG5, as soon as you try to do focus stacking, it goes right away. So you might get some camera shake. But the TG6 now has a little delay. You can set the delay to 2 seconds or something. So it's a little better if you like to do a lot of macro. But that's not why I bought the TG5. I bought the TG5 because I wanted a pocketable Olympus camera, and that's the best one. If you want to go further back, this XZ2 is excellent. This offers hot shoe mainly, tiltable screen, right? Tilt screen. I think it uses the same batteries the TG5 actually. Yeah, uses the same batteries the TG5. Has a larger sensor and also I think a superior zoom lens. This is an f1.8, I think. I can't read with my dying eyes. You can get these for I paid 100 for mine, but I think they're going for 200 now. This is an excellent camera if you want to go Olympus. Because I just talked about the LX5 for $200, right? They're They're about the same size when you're using them, but if you wanna put it in your pocket, this is a lot easier. It's a lot thinner, right? Let's see if I can line this up. You can see how much thinner this is. This is way thinner, but I can still put this in my pocket, but it's tight. It's tight. Actually, I would need a little bigger pocket. It doesn't quite fit my pocket here, whereas this one is very easy. TG5, definitely. Takes great pictures. So if you go to TG5, oh, I didn't make an album for TG5. I thought I had a photo album just for the TG5. Huh. But yeah, if I've used it for a lot of stuff. It takes great pictures. I know I got more than this. Maybe TG-5? No. This is a time lapse I did. But yeah, it takes great pictures, I think. This is a TG5. It's beautiful. This is the TG5. I did some macro. Is it an album? Yeah. Here we go. This is the album. Here's some side-by-side comparisons. If you wanna look at these. Wow, look at that. That's amazing. Uh, I did a wildlife. I was able to get pretty close though. But I did this blue heron. This is a video I did. That's just a time lapse I made. Uh, oh, here's an example of where I'm using that Manfrotto tripod. Uh, so tabletop tripods, you don't have to use them on a table, right? You can put them up against a wall or a tree. I was doing a long exposure shot here, so that's why I needed the extra stability of bracing it. But this is a way to use a table tripod out in the field. And some low light photography. Yeah, it's not great. This is before I was using DxO, I think. I had a little motion blur, some ICM. This is a low light shot. Oh, this is with Deep Prime. This is the old Deep Prime though. Um, yeah, this is ISO 12800. So if you have DxO, you can clean up your images quite nicely. Okay. Um, but I'll give you the link to the TG5. Yeah, the Power Shot. That's what it was. Thank you. The Canon back when I bought whatever camera I was talking about now. When I bought my TG5, I was looking at the Power Shot. Let's see, Canon Power Shot. What was it? It was not. It was It wasn't this one. It was an APS, or it was a 1-inch sensor Canon. Yeah, this one. This was out back. What the F? Are you kidding me? Have you lost your freaking mind? Anyway, talk about an F-bomb. This is an F-bomb. Don't ever pay that for this camera. This was $700 brand new. But I got the TG5 for 500 and I'm very, very happy with it. I have no regrets picking it over this camera. Other than if I had it now, I could sell it for a lot of money. Okay, let's see. Yeah, good to know about the Bluetooth. Yeah, Bluetooth solution. Let's check if it has that. I don't think my Instago has that option. It's recording. Copy down. No, it's charging. Never mind. Blinking is recording. Red is charging. And Jeff says, still love my TG7. Yeah, see, Jeff knows. Jeff can buy any camera he wants, and he got a TG7. It's a great camera because I remember running around the street with it, and I dropped it once while I was running, and that thing flew across the street on concrete, right, like this, rolling front to back. And I picked it up, and it still works great. Okay. Well, I don't see any other questions, and I think I talked about everything I need to talk about. My other tripod hasn't come in yet. Um, but yeah, if you guys support my channel by using my affiliate links, that'd be great. Or become a member, make a donation. All of those things are really helpful. So yeah, it's been a little bit lean. I did have a good job, paying job last week, but I gotta once I go through all my expenses, I won't have much money left from that. But that was a good that paid well, but man, the overhead is pretty high. Because I had to hire 9 other photographers to go out with, not hire them, but I have to take care of them. Uh, I think I see another question here. Which pancake for the Pen F? Okay, so if you don't care about video, the Panasonic pancakes are very nice. The 20 millimeter f1.7, the 14 millimeter, and the those are the two main ones that a lot of people recommend for just photos. Not don't forget about video; it's not going to work. Uh, Olympus has a 17 millimeter pancake, but I would steer you towards the 15 millimeter f1.7 from Panasonic. It's a Leica 15 millimeter f1.7. I think you can get them used for like 300-400 bucks. Uh, but absolute pancake lens, you have to go Panasonic 20 millimeter. You know, the 9 millimeter body cap lens is hard to find, but a lot of people like that one. I have the 15 millimeter body cap lens. That's kind of a fun to use with art filters and things because it's not a very sharp lens. And then and it's manual focus, right? Kind of. It's f8, so you don't really need to focus. And trying to think, you have to go Panasonic. The 20 millimeter f1.7 is about the best pancake lens for photography. If you need video, then I would go with the Olympus 17 millimeter pancake. It's an f2.5, I think. It's not quite as fast as the Panasonics. That's better for video because that's MS compatible. Uh, so you're gonna get virtually silent, if I recall. Let me just double check before I say another word. Um, it's a 2.8. So I'm looking at this thing. They keep showing one side of this. I wonder if there's something wrong with it. Let's try a different one. Uh, That's the same seller. How about this guy? This is not a bad lens. I like this lens a lot. It's not as fast as a prime, but I actually use this lens quite a bit. It's just not pancake when you turn it on because the lens extends out. But if you want a true pancake that doesn't extend out, you have to go with a prime. Uh, but yeah, I like this one. It's not really pancake, but it's pretty thin. It's not bad. It's about the same as the 17. This is not too bad, but you gain a lot of image quality, you gain excellent video performance, and you gain excellent image quality in photos. Uh, Autofocus is on par. I mean, everything is excellent about this lens. But the trade-off being it's not quite pancake, right? This one comes recommended a lot. Some people hate this lens, but I've seen a lot of images from this lens. I don't see what the problem is other than it's slow to autofocus. So you're not going to be able to use it for video. I hope that helps. Okay. And yeah, avoid the DJI replicant. You can use it on, I can't remember what the issue was. People were buying it and using it without any problems, but there was one issue that people are having a problem with buying the DJI copy. I don't know if it had to do with the firmware or the image tables. There was something about it that steered me away from it. Because I was looking at the two myself for a long time. Because it's like 50 to $100 cheaper to buy the DJI version. And ultimately, I decided not to go DJI and just get the Panasonic. And I forget what the reason was. I don't know if anybody knows in the comments section. Let me know, but I can't remember. Uh, Maybe it's the coatings. Yeah, I can't remember. I think it had some other. It might have been the coatings, but I don't think that was it. It might be just in my head. And oh, contrast says the Ben's photo bag you featured a month or so ago has been one of the best photography pages. Honestly, I can't tell much difference between it and peak design. Oh yeah, the Ben's photo bag. It was like $15 or something, right? Yeah, that was a deal. That was a deal. I almost bought one for myself, but I just got so many bags now. And now they're sending me bags, to reviews. So I can't I just yeah, I gave away a couple of bags last month because I just have too many now. One of my Tembas was really nice. I got another Temba I might give away. I paid $120 for that thing. It's breaking my heart to give that away, but I just don't use it. And somebody else will really, really appreciate a nice Temba bag, right? Because they're not cheap. But I'm glad that worked out. Yes, the Panasonic 12 to 32, also excellent. You don't have to worry about the power zoom because that can be a little flaky sometimes. They go bad on the Olympus ones. But the 12 to 32 is awesome. Thanks for reminding me about that. That's an excellent one. And Paul says, I have the 14 2.5 and the 12 to 32 pancake lenses. Both are very good. Okay, awesome. Yeah, those are both great lenses. Like I said, I've never really, I mean, I've heard people say bad things about the 14, and I've heard that about every lens, to be honest. But the general consensus is these are both very good lenses. And Roger says, what about the EPL line? Um, Let me just look at it again because there's a P line. The PL line is the smaller, right? I think the latest one. Okay, yeah. Sorry, I'm getting a little tired, so I'm having trouble remembering. This is an EPL8. I don't know why. Oh no, this is the PL9. I have the PL8. I have a couple of problems with it. I don't know what you wanted to know specifically about this line of cameras, but uh, the EPL8 was my primary vlogging camera when I started my channel, and because of the flip down screen and great image quality, and I had the lenses. I used the EPL8 with the 12 millimeter f2 lens. Perfect vlogging camera. If you want a higher quality image than say these little GoPros will do. Although in practice, I think these days these do a good job now, good enough job. But the PL camera, if you could put in some detail about uh, what you mean by any good. Image quality, excellent, right? As good as any Micro Four Thirds camera. Autofocus, it's the older contrast autofocus. It's fine for shooting street photography. Build quality, excellent. Nice all metal design. Controls, very good. Not excellent because it only has usually one dial. If we look at that one again, maybe I should just keep that page up while I'm talking about it. I gotta type it in again. All right, so let's look at like a PL9. So as you can see from the dials on the top, right, you just have the mode dial, then you have this one dial, and then you have all these buttons. So it has a lot of buttons and they're programmable, so it's pretty good. The flip screen is very nice, and it uses the standard EPL or ENL 15. I forget the battery. It has the same battery as the OM5. So battery life is pretty decent, and they have a built-in flash. And uh, the thing is, when you go to the EPL9, you'll notice that they took away the electronic contacts here, so you don't have the option of adding like an electronic viewfinder, which I have one, but I never use it. So it's not a deal breaker in my opinion, not to have the option for electronic viewfinder. And they're very pocketable, very small. Okay, but the couple problems I have with it, and this is more of a me problem, right? Is you cannot use it as a webcam. It does not have a clean HDMI out. When you plug in the HDMI cable, everything goes blank. You can't use it. Just forget it. Uh, no silent shutter, at least on the EPL8. I don't think it changed with the PL9 or PL10. No silent shutter. It's always mechanical shutter. But that's it. So no EVF, no silent shutter, no webcam, like no clean HDMI out. And the video is limited. They did sort of strip away some of the video features. So for simple vlogging, it was fine. It was like 1080 30p or something. But I think the EM10 Mark II had more video features. But the EPL8 was fine. But I would get at least the 16 megapixel. I don't know when it started. I think it started with the EPL5 or 7. You want to get the 16 megapixel sensor because it has the newer autofocusing system and the TruePix 7. I think it's a TruePix 7 engine. So it has all of the art filters and scene modes and everything that you'd want. So I think you have to start with the EPL7. But I just like the styling of the EPL8 a little better than the EPL7. That's the only difference really between the two. And then you go to the EPL9 and EPL10. One of them might have added 4K video and Bluetooth, but those are kind of irrelevant, right? In my opinion. At the price points of those cameras, you can get a better 4K video camera. But I think you're talking about just for photography. I would say EPL 7, EPL 8. That's kind of your sweet spot in EPL line. Yeah, the EPL 8 was the last to accept the EVF. Yep. I forgot who was asking about that. Roger. Okay, Roger. Yeah. Uh, but it's a great street camera. It's a great vlogging camera, but it just has those limitations that sort of regulated it to the shelf now. Otherwise, I'd be using it now as my webcam, but I can't because of the HDMI out. Sucks. Uh, and now for vlogging, I just use well, I use this the most. Not that I ever publish my vlogs. I have so much footage that I deleted so much vlogging footage that I just never got felt like editing and posting a video. I'm just getting lazy. I don't know. But yeah, last month I think I deleted terabytes of vlogging footage I never published for YouTube. It's kind of sad. Whenever I bought this camera, I did vlog quite a bit, and I got all the footage back, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna spend 8, 10 hours editing, and I never got around to sitting down and doing it. And then when I was purging or doing curating my hard drive, I was like, I'm never gonna publish this, so I just deleted it. So I got the EPL 8 and the EP5 with the VF4 and used them often. Okay, yeah, I'm not a big I I don't know, I just never used it because I have cameras that have a viewfinder, so I'll just if I want a viewfinder, I'll take a camera with a viewfinder. Roger would recommend EPL 7. EPL 8 is very similar, but the 7 has a better grip. Add the VF4 too, great for setup. Yep. So the grip on the EPL 8, if you look at it, so the EPL 9 is similar to the EPL 7. Let's see if they just have an EPL 7. Yeah, here's the EPL 7, right? So it has you can see it here. It has a nice little grip to it. Uh, but me, I like the styling of the EPL 8 better. Nobody has they don't have any PL8s? Are you serious? So, yeah, EPL8 just has this little thing here. I didn't find the grip terrible though. It was enough for me that I didn't feel like I needed to add a grip to it because I'll add a grip in a heartbeat. Uh, but yeah, I like the styling of this, say, over the EPL 7 or EPL 9. Oops. Did I even show the screen? Here's the EPL 9. Here's the EPL 8, right? So I just like the styling of this EPL 8 and EPL 7. Here's the EPL 7. You can see the grip is a lot more substantial, right? And it's cheaper a little bit. And they have silver versions of this if you like the silver. That's a pretty handsome camera there. But they're effectively the same camera. 7, 8, 9, 10, they're all the same, just minor differences. The EP5 was impressive for a 2013 model. Yep. Yeah, all the Olympus cameras from when they were launched to now, I think they're all really impressive cameras. Of course, I'm a fan, so take that with a grain of salt. But I think they've always been very impressive cameras. And the EPL line doesn't support EVF. Yeah, that's true. Popping in. Oh, hey Marco, how are you? Yeah, I've been on. Man, I've been at it for almost 2.5 hours. I better stop. I'm not feeling too bad. I'm not hungry yet. So if you guys want to hang out for a while, I can hang out. I mean, it's a live stream, right? So, not particularly. There were some really good questions though today about vlogging cameras, like the new Canon whatever V1 versus the Pocket 3. I kind of went. I thought hopefully I did a good job on that. I think I did, explaining that it's more of a workflow issue. You guys tell me in the comments if I did a good job on that or not. I talked about these tripods. Um, so tabletop tripods, and the kind of the workflow issues and problems I'm having with various things of this. Talked about this flash, how awesome this is with my new little PC sync cord that I got. We talked about a lot of stuff actually today. You missed out, man. Should have been here. Oh, I'm just kidding. I got a notice from you though, Marco. Thank you so much about FedEx is sending me that 12 to 32. Marco is very kind because my 12 to 32, I forget why. Did I chuck it? No, I still got my broken one. I broke my 12 to 32 trying when I was trying to fix it. But Marco, I was talking about how I broke mine, and Marco was very kind and said, "Oh, I got an extra one. I'll send it to you." So thank you, Marco. I appreciate that. Um, if you guys just want to send me stuff that you want me to share on the channel or use, just let me know. I'll be happy to share it with the group. Or if you just want to give me a lens, I'm always grateful for stuff. Uh, I scoffed at Micro Four Thirds. Started off with the EP2 about 3 years back, just to give Ollie a try. I got sucked in. Yeah. So I didn't have a problem. I didn't know anything about Micro Four Thirds when I got into it. I just wanted a small camera, so I bought the EM10 Mark II because I was shooting a D750 at the time. Big honking DSLR. I got tired of that, but I used it for my work. And then, uh, when I go hiking and do stuff, I wanted something smaller, so I got the EM10, and then I got hooked. I was like, this thing is amazing. Image quality is, for all intents and purposes, as good as my D750 when I do street. So I've been a Micro Four Thirds fan ever since, and I don't see that ever changing. And I've tried everything. Okay, I haven't tried medium format. Okay, I don't have a GFX, or a Hasselblad. But I would never switch to those systems. I would love to use them, but I'd never switch to them. For my everyday carry, like our girl over at 1 month, 2 cameras or whatever, Desert Island camera video. That was an awesome video. This is my go-to camera to do everything. If I want to do birding, I want to do macro like I have on here now. I want to do street. I'll put on probably a 12 to 32 kit lens that's coming in any day now. Um, yeah, they sometimes they get a little stiff, but it's just the yeah, I know what you mean. Mine was a little bit stiff. I dropped it so it wouldn't even open and close at all. And that's I tried to fix it and I broke it. What about all-in-one Olympus cameras? I'm not sure what you mean by an all-in-one. Like a hybrid camera that does good video and OM3. That's my all-in-one. If you mean the one that has a fixed lens, like, built into it, uh, interchangeable lens camera, hands down, OM3 is my all-in-one camera, but any of the OM1s, OM3, OM5, these are great all-in-ones. But if you mean fixed lens, like with a zoom or prime built in, a lot of people like the, Marco has one. I can't remember the name of it now. What's the name of that camera? It looks like a small EM5, but it has a built-in zoom. Um, Stylus, it's a Olympus stylus. This is a good all-in-one. 1S. This is a good all-in-one. I think it has like a 300 millimeter equivalent, and it starts at f2.8. Uh, Hands down, that is the best Olympus all-in-one camera. Um, because it has an EVF, it has a super telephoto zoom from wide, like 20 something to 300. It's fast. I believe it's a 2.8 lens and 12 megapixel sensor, so it's not too pixelated, and it has all the features. Uses the EPL, uses the same batteries the OM5. There's a 1S and a 1. You want to get the 1S. That has the bigger battery. They have some accessories for it that you can attach. I can't remember what they were, but like it was maybe a teleconverter that goes on the outside, or was it a macro? That's an excellent camera. It's $400 now, though. Wow, that's crazy. That's probably what it sold for brand new. That's what I would recommend. Now, personally, I borrowed that camera. My friend has one, David, and I did not gel with it. Um, the image quality was perfectly fine. I didn't have a problem with the image quality. I don't know. It just didn't quite speak to me. So I ended up getting an LX100 Mark II. It's twice as much, but to me, this is twice the camera the 1S is. Um, this to me is the ultimate all-in-one camera. This or the Deluxe 8, or just go old school LX5, man. This is a great all-in-one, but the video sucks on this. I think it's 720p or something. But I think the LX100 Mark II is probably the best all-in-one camera right now, in my opinion, or the Deluxe 8 or Deluxe 7, same camera, just a slightly different menu. Yeah, the tele and wide. Yeah, they had converters, right? Tele and wide converters. Oh, you took the Stylus 1S with you? Or are we still talking about the 12 to 32? Huh. So I threw my money at the E600 and lenses just went, oh man. Yeah, a really good lens for the old 4 thirds mount is that 50 to 200, right? F2.8. That's an excellent lens. The 50 millimeter macro for the 4 thirds is excellent. I got into all that stuff long after I got into Micro Four Thirds. Micro Four Thirds was my first camera. in that Olympus system. And well, my first Olympus camera was actually the OM2 from, you know, 30 years ago or whatever. But yeah, the old 4 thirds, man. Hopefully you didn't pay full price. But the E620, I have an E620, I think, that has the illuminated buttons somewhere. I'll have to take those cameras out. They're still kind of fun. They're still fun to take out. I just haven't done it in a couple of years. Oh, the Stylus SH1. Uh, oh, no, 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 no. You don't want this one. So this is the oh, sorry. Where's the SH1? Here. Don't get this camera. Uh, it doesn't shoot RAW. And then the lens is not nearly as good on this one either. Yeah, it's an f3 to 6 point. Yeah, that's why it's so cheap, 150 bucks. I don't know if you're asking about this camera or recommending this camera over the Stylus S1 1S. Stylus 1S is if this is selling for 150, the Stylus 1S is definitely worth 400. But I don't think that SH1 should be like a $25 camera at this point. There's no reason for it to be that expensive. That's just outrageous. Is John Yutze in the house? Did I miss that? Yeah. So Saucy Angel just says, with a viewfinder, runners want to look at an EM10. Yeah. Yep. But yeah, the Stylus SH1, don't don't nobody buy that camera. I mean, it was fine for when it was released, but at this point, there's just no reason to buy a camera like that. Terrible lens, doesn't shoot RAW, tiny sensor, blah blah blah. Uh yeah, very impressed with the 50 to 200. That's an excellent lens. I adapted it to my OM1 and did a few shots with it. I just got the adapter for it, so I haven't shot with it much outside of my E500. But yeah, that is a fabulous lens. Okay, so man, there's 41 now. There's 41 people here. What do you guys want to do? You want to keep going? I can keep going, but you guys have to drive the conversation because I've run out of things to talk about personally. But if you have a question, we can go in that direction. Says I still got the E1, E3, E5 with several lens. Really, they still find a use. Yeah, wow, those are all pro grade. DSLRs with the 4/3 sensors. They're all excellent cameras, really well built, enough features, more than any really people need, and excellent handling. I mean, they really fit in the hand well. Uh, so yeah, I think the E1 failed, and then the E3 and E5s were pretty much on their way out because Micro Four Thirds was around the corner. So the fourth system just didn't have a chance once the E1 kind of died, uh, which is unfortunate because they were excellent cameras. Call DoorDash. No, I have to cook. I try to eat as whole food as possible. If I'm gonna pay for food, like, outside of cooking it myself, I'll go to a restaurant. Which I need to plan. What's today? Tuesday. I got a photo job tomorrow. I'll go eat out tomorrow after the photo job. I'm debating if I should do like take more pictures with this lens for the photo job tomorrow because it's kind of a dance thing, but or just crank out that video today. Oh, which adapter did I use for the port thirds? I got it on Amazon. Yeah, I used the FT lens on the OM3. Yeah. I put it on my OM1 because the 50 to 200 is so big. But yeah, the I had to get an adapter, but somebody, I forget who it was, sent me rubber bands. But let me go to my Amazon shopping cart and I'll show you exactly which one I bought. I just bought it recently. Hmm. Yeah, May 2nd. So it was this one here. It was delivered May 2nd. 29.99. Seems to work okay. Uh, the mounting is not very tight, so I put some rubber bands. Let me see where those are at. Um, shoot, I don't know. I'll just show you on the lens. So this is the adapter I bought, right? And if you look around the ring, there's a tiny rubber band. I don't know what kind of rubber bands they are, but they're very small. They're only about this big, and then you stretch them out to put around the mount. And I put one there, and then I put one on the lens itself. So there's one on the mount, there's one on the lens. So it's very, very snug now. When I mount this to my camera, there's no play, on the camera because I was getting a lot of play. And then it was disconnecting from the contacts and I was having all kinds of issues. But once you put these little rubber bands on, man, it's perfect. But this is the 50 to 200 we've been talking about. This is an excellent. It's a 2.8 to 3.5. Man, shocking how sharp this lens is. I mean, I would put it right up there with my 300 f4. Um, so it's almost as big though as that lens. But that's the one. I can give you the link to it. There we go. And Jew is here. Hi, Rob. Wondering if you've ever come across image the ice 123. No, I have not. Let me look at one though. Maybe I have. Let me look at one. Olympus IS 1000. Oh, the film cameras. Yeah, I've seen a friend of mine has one. So I don't know which one he has, but he has one of these. He likes it. He really likes it. I'm pretty sure this is a film camera, right? Well, that one looks digital. Olympus 2011. Refresh my memory. Is this a film camera or not? I can't I thought he was shooting film. Yeah, this is a film camera. 35 millimeter point and shoot film camera. Okay. So that's what it is. Yeah, this guy. It was kinda neat. It didn't appeal to me. Doesn't really appeal to me, but it is kinda neat. Um, Maybe if I shot film more, but I have so many film cameras already. I just didn't it just didn't appeal to me. Maybe later. Oh, excuse me, I had a big sneeze there. But I have seen them in person in real life. Yeah, that'll be cool. Oh, hey, David, how are you? What are you doing here? I should probably call it here, but man, I rarely have like 40 people on a shopping stream. I'm just picking up all the stragglers here. Kind of like me, I'm like a straggler streamer, right? Like if people go on to YouTube and they're looking for a live stream, it's like, oh, Rob is on. He's always on. Um, yeah, the micro name. I reckon it had a big. I don't know. Maybe it didn't. I didn't. It didn't phase me when they said micro. Uh, but yeah, I've heard people say that micro four loser. Who is it? Camera conspiracies. He had a video talking about. Let's call it micro. Can't remember. So it definitely it affected him. Although he started his channel with a micro four thirds camera, right? It was a Panasonic or something. I remember recommending his channel back when he only had a couple thousand subscribers. I said, man, you guys got to go watch his channel. Now he's like, what, 5 times the size of mine. But that's cool. Oh, yeah, I had the 100 to 300. I sold it. In fact, I think I sold it for like $10. Oh my God, that was terrible. And shooting full frame lately, I like the 4/3 ratio better when composing. Yeah, me too. The other one is too wide, especially if you want to do vertical, you get like this tunnel, right? I'm always cropping my vertical full frame images because they're just too tall. Wide is okay for landscapes, but I find my full frame images when I do verticals, they look ridiculous to me. But that's because I'm so used to 4/3 now. Even 4/3 kind of pushing it. Usually if I do vertical, I'll crop it down to square. I believe that's part of your appeal, Rob. You're just so easygoing. Oh, I appreciate that. And Margaret says, can't watch Casey anymore. All he does is troll and change opinions constantly. Yeah, I know. I don't take anything he says seriously. It's just, I still find him entertaining, but he is getting very repetitive in his, like, it's the same kind of personality and humor he's been doing for years and years. So it is kind of wearing on me a little. I still think he's hilarious, but I can see where that could get old pretty quick, right? Because if you're going to him for like serious camera reviews and opinions about cameras, yeah, you're making a mistake. Uh, you do your due diligence, before you take any advice from his channel, and he'll be the first one to tell you that, right? Don't take advice from me. I'm just a comedian. That's what he'll tell you. But uh, he does take it seriously sometimes, but he tries to make it entertaining, and that's where a lot of people have a problem is they take it too seriously when it's really more about the entertainment. I haven't watched any of his Mac stuff recently because I don't care about Mac, but I don't know. He still cracks me up sometimes. If Fujifilm's X half is going to be portrait mode, do you think other manufacturers will experiment too? What about the digital X Pan? Uh wow, a digital X Pan would be freaking amazing, but how are they going to do that? Let me make sure we're thinking about the same camera. That's the Super Panorama, right? Yeah. Uh, I think I think it'd be a mistake if if everyone started doing that. Fuji is the only one that can release a camera like that, and they'll probably never do it again. Nobody else is going to do that. I just don't see how that could make any sense. So yeah, if you ask me what I think, I don't think other manufacturers are going to do it. They're just not. Yeah, it's too risky. Fuji's got a market, a very niche market that they can sell to, where the Fuji cheap will just buy anything they make. I'm being mean. I shouldn't be mean because I'll buy just about anything OM System makes, right? But uh, nobody else can do that. Do it. Oh, he has great meetings with the camera company executives. Yeah, yeah. Those crack me up. Still, I still like to watch those when he does them. He puts his wig on and um, yeah, it just has these ridiculous things that I don't know. Somehow he makes things funny. I don't know. But Marco's right though. He's always changing his mind, right? Constantly changing his mind. But that's okay. Like I said, I don't take anything he does or any of the gear that he uses very seriously because he's just not a serious photographer. First of all, he doesn't care about photography hardly at all. And secondly, his video is always like slow motion. I don't know. He's just his video and photography stuff is not important at all on his channel. So how good can his advice be on camera gear when his photography and videography is not has nothing to do with his channel? I don't know if that makes any sense. I post a lot of my photos and images like to a fault, because my stuff is mostly educational. Like I always put the EXIF data. I always put it when I can, unless I forget. But generally, my intent is to show all the EXIF data, maybe add some notes if I did any particularly special processing to it, like in-camera focus stacking. I have to make that separate as a note because that's not in the EXIF data necessarily. Um, so a lot of images I post on my channel, my Instagram, they're not very good. They're just to demonstrate a particular thing, maybe, right? And the square sensor where you can choose landscape or portrait mode aspect ratios seem to make a lot of sense. Does somebody have a square sensor camera? Trying to think. I don't know. That would be that would be interesting though. A square sensor camera, then you definitely wouldn't have to worry about aspect ratio, right? I mean, or portrait or landscape is the same. You just have to keep your horizon level. I'm not familiar with this camera. Uh What camera are you talking about? I gotta close these tab downs before my computer crashes. I mean, I can, computer can typically handle 2 or 3 tabs open on Chrome, but man, I got like 20 tabs here open. Let me close these down and look for a square sensor camera. Oh, awesome. You got the same case I did, huh? This is a nice case, isn't it? I'm really surprised. Now you need to get this little mini Arca Swiss plate. If you use tripods, that is. If you don't use tripods, don't worry about it. I use them so often, so I like to keep a plate on here at all times. I wish they had designed this so this was a plate, but they didn't. That's cool, yeah. Now they're selling for quite a bit, right? Because of the tariffs. So hopefully you got a good deal. I only paid like 60 bucks for mine, I think. I think it was one in one of the Panasonics. Yeah, I mean, it feels familiar, but I just can't think of the camera. I mean, a square sensor camera doesn't sound new. Ask Gemini. Oh, yeah. Well, Gemini says it's for astrophotography. Astrophotography cameras use square sensors. But yeah, we're reaching now, aren't we? We're kind of reaching for topics now. I think maybe I should end it. Okay. Um, it's been great, guys. But I'm starting to get a little hungry now, so I'm gonna call it. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. I will try and be back on Friday for our photo editing stream, and then for normal photo chat on Sunday. Uh, as always, thanks for being here with me today and keeping me company. Hopefully, I showed you good deals and gave you some advice that was useful. But as always, I always want to see you guys again soon. Okay, so eat well,